Hey friends, so here's an interesting perspective. Some of the goals that you have are not really yours. They came from elsewhere. And you might have one or two that's really something that came from you, from your intrinsic value and your intrinsic source from within inside your soul. So ask yourself which goals are really yours and which ones aren't, that you might want to rethink and redo. So I'll give an obvious one, and that is a goal that was never yours from the beginning intrinsically was your goal to get a job and cling on to that job for dear life for the rest of your life so that you could pay your bills and eat. That was a goal that was given to you, sown into you by maybe your parents, by politicians, by media, more so recently, social media conditioning. It was never really yours intrinsically from the beginning, but you've made it yours. And so now most of the population, 98% of the population, lives and dies underneath a thumb of a paycheck that can be taken away from them at any time for any reason. And 98% of the population is either dead or dead broke before the age of 65, dependent and needy upon friends, family, and the federal government as the main source of their income. So what was our goal from birth that we were intrinsically born with that actually is our own? That would be the desire to be free, and follow our own dreams and our own passions. It was never to have a job. That's been sown into you, and through a process of beating your free spirit out of you from childhood and upward, very few people come to reclaim their free spirit and reclaim their freedom. So that's a fact. So the problem is that as we go to school and we live our lives and we're bombarded by advertisement and media and politicians and whatnot, we're never taught about residual and passive income, because that's the income type that gives us that freedom, that intrinsic goal that we had from birth. It wasn't to have a job, it was to be free to do what we want. So we were never taught passive and residual income, and that the quality of that income detaches our time from our income so we can spend our time doing whatever the fuck we want. So what do they teach us? They teach us how to be a good employee. But there's also business school, and they teach you how to be a good self-employed person selling your time for a paycheck without any residual money. Even most self-employed people have zero residual and passive money. They have zero freedom. That's a fact. So the problem is that we were never taught about residual money and passive money. You have to go out on your own. You have to be really curious. The only reason I know about it wasn't because of school or my parents or media or advertisements. The only reason I learned about it is because I got curious. I wanted to look outside of the box of what I already knew. I had to go out there on my own and discover that. And when I learned about it, I had to do it. It's like you can't unlearn something like that and not do anything with it. Well, yeah, there's plenty of people that learn cool things and do nothing with it. I call them intellectual masturbators. I don't want to be an intellectual masturbator, so I did something about it. And I'm sharing it constantly. I write blogs about it, videos about it. I guess this is a live feed that's touching on that from a perspective of where your goals came from. If they came from you, your intrinsic value, or if your goals came from what you've been told by advertisements, politicians, school, parents, and so forth. So you may want to revisit your goals and be honest with yourself and decide, geez, were these really my goals? You know, are they serving what I want? Am I a free human being? Or am I selling my time for a paycheck like every other sucker with a job that depends on their job for their income, or they can't pay their bills and eat? I got out of that racket successfully as of February of 2010. So it was a long time ago. I started that process in August of 2007. So it took me 2.5 years, a worthwhile process. But at the end, I reclaimed that intrinsic free spirit that I had from when I was just a baby of wanting to be free, before I had that terrible goal given to me by externalities of gotta get a job and cling to that for the rest of my life. No, that was never your goal from the beginning. Even if it is now, it wasn't when you were born. It was never intrinsic from then. That's been given to you by someone else. So you can either think for yourself and watch the walls around you turn into sand beneath your feet, or you can continue letting others think for you and letting others put those goals into your head instead of developing your own goals from your own intrinsic value. That's totally up to you. And for those of you that are fans of thinking for yourself and fans of self-reflection and self-correction and fans of learning more about residual and passive money and getting out of the rat race and into being a free human being and watching the walls turn into sand beneath your feet. Ask me for my blog. I wrote about it. It's a beautiful 10-minute read, and the one I specifically do is centered around natural health, because that goes to freedom too. Freedom and independence from being a cash cow sucker for pharmaceutical companies, needing their poisonous pills just to maintain some resemblance of health for the rest of my life. A big part of freedom is being free from that nonsense too. So I decided to learn about residual and passive money centered around natural health, independent of pharmaceutical graded anything. So feel free to ask me about that, and I'll send it to you. I typed up a beautiful blog about it, about 10 minutes worth of reading time. And I'll send it to you soon. Feel free to share this video because it's a really cool topic, and it's a really great perspective that might jar or advance your perspective and your friends' perspectives forward a bit. Maybe some quantum leaps that we all need, right? So feel free to share it and add your comments below if you can think of anything as you're listening to me talk about this, of some goals that maybe you need to rethink that really wasn't yours after all. Bye for now, everyone. Mwah. And my website, by the way, TomBerkenmeyer.com, just like it's spelled here on social media, TomBerkenmeyer.com. Bye for now.